Not everyone believes it, but the bad guys went good. And we cannot wait for society to welcome us with open arms.
I feel lucky and I feel blessed. The sun is shining, so take a breath.
The Bad Guys 2. Ready to watch some more cartoony crimes? Well, even if they did turn good, Wolf and the gang have returned for more of their heist hijinks with their own sequel. Compared to other franchises, it wasn't that long ago that the Bad Guys made their debut and became one of DreamWorks' latest animated stars. And like many, I had a great time with the original. I'll confess though that there were a few parts that left me feeling disappointed, like how, even if it was just staying true to the source material, the story was dreadfully generic, where they made it feel like the plot structure is built out of tiresome tropes used by many other kids' films in the past, like a predictably weak twist villain. However, I only consider that disappointing because if it weren't for that element, this would have easily been among the studio's greatest features because everything else in this movie was nailed perfectly. The characters are filled with charm and accompanied with great voice acting. The animation is fantastic and lively with that anime-inspired style. It's packed with a lot of action and heart, and the comedy makes this a hilarious ride from beginning to end.
I want you to save it.
Oh, right.
I don't think I consider this among DreamWorks' best, but I still really liked it and placed this among their better features in recent years. But naturally, with a movie like this that received a strong amount of love, a sequel was just right around the corner. And there's a good chance that we may have something special here, especially when DreamWorks makes a number 2, don't take that out of context, they usually turn out to be better than its predecessors. And if that could be the case here, I have some high hopes to see how the Bad Guys' second round turns out. So now that they got themselves into what they call their one last job, can the Bad Guys make another good movie? Or did quitting being bad left them in a worse shape? Let's find out. The story. Just because the Bad Guys turn good by the end of the first movie, that doesn't mean that their escapades are over, rather if they ask for it or not. As Wolf and the gang tried to turn over a new leaf and find a job so that they could prove their newfound goodness, they got roped into one last operation by a trio of bad girls who planned to execute the biggest heist that the world has ever seen. One that even involves hijacking a rocket going to space and a precious metal known as MacGuffinite.
We're planning something big. Only problem, it's too big for the three of us.
You need work. We need extra hands.
When going into this sequel, the Bad Guys are well aware of their own strengths that made the first movie a fan favorite, and that's going into crazy heists and delivering loads of cartoon comedy. The tone and the pacing are exhilarating from beginning to end as it hops from one phase of the girls' big plan to the next with both the MacGuffinite and the Bad Guys. On top of using that as a great mechanic to get audiences engaged with the movie's madness to see what crazy situation that they'll get themselves into next, there is also an element of mystery being uncovered to slowly unravel what is the bad girls' big goal and how they planned everything out, along with the bad guys with their own strategy to get themselves out of this whole scheme and prove to everyone that they're no longer bad.
Don't tell me you guys are bad again.
No, we're being set up. We need to show the world we're good. So we're gonna sabotage them.
As for the comedy itself, maybe it's debatable if it's as funny as the original. There aren't any bad jokes in this, but I think most of the humor leans more to be just chuckle-worthy, where they're on average mildly amusing. But at the same time, there can be moments where it does pull off some great gags that can get a big laugh and become among the film's highlights.
I am never driving another car ever again!
I'll give the movie credit that the way these heists are mapped out is well thought out and display the impressive brains that were put into it. Rather if the credit goes to the characters for how amazing they are at their craft, or the writers and the director for building it in a fun way for the movie, I'll leave that up to you. However, as Wolf points out about Kitty Cat's plan, they thought of almost everything. The one big catch to the picture is that this is one of those blockbusters that prioritizes the action and the comedy more so than the story itself. Yes, those other elements do well to capture the viewer's attention and get on board with what the bad guys get into, but I can't help but notice that the story it establishes for itself isn't just secondary, but also kind of minimal. The actual plot of The Bad Guys 2 is for the main characters to show that they are still good, despite being put in a position where they are seen as bad. And this doesn't provide much substance for the feature.
Are you kidding me? Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty.
Oh, right.
For a movie that discusses about growth, it doesn't present the significance of how that impacts the characters or make the risks feel like they matter. Yes, there are times when some of the cast like Wolf or Diane are put in a situation where it could feel like it's over for them, but in the end, they don't make it feel like they matter much or actually make an impact to the characters in any way. This is what I mean by how the film prioritizes the heists instead of the story. The plot elements are only significant to the big plan to help advance to the next step or show how the guys and gals thought of everything to get away with their crimes and contribute next to nothing to the characters' arcs to make themselves interesting or prove why their pursuit to be good is important. Not to mention that there are times when it feels like it's recycling parts from the first movie with how they could question their own identity as either good or bad. It may try to use that as a way to give the movie depth, but the familiarity of these scenarios and how they can be quickly discarded afterwards make them feel hollow.
Now you want to work at a bank.
Why not? Some of my best memories are at banks.
You robbed us 3 times. That was this bank?
The bad guys have found themselves in a complicated situation when it comes to creating their second story. On one hand, the story itself is kind of weak, prioritizing the gimmicks to carry the picture and treat the narrative as an afterthought just to make more room for the extravagant stuff. Then again, I cannot say that it doesn't work because I'll admit that I was having fun watching it with all the action going crazy, comedy that gave me some laughs, and learning what the heist is all about. It's not a well-executed plan, but if the feature was able to get away with it and come out with what it was looking for, then I guess its mission was accomplished. The animation. There is a bit of a warning that I must tell you in regards to the animation. As you can see with the looks of the characters, this is one of those computer animated features that uses the controversial bean mouth style, and really doubles down on using the tropes that come with it as a tactic to make the characters expressive. And considering how this particular style has been getting heat again since the release of Pixar's Elio, the people who are openly critical of the bean mouth style from that studio are going to hate what DreamWorks did with The Bad Guys 2.
Actually, hold on a sec. Let me just double check on my notes first. What do you mean that this only applies to Disney and Pixar films? And everyone else gets a pass? Why? That makes no sense. Seriously, why does this grift suck at hiding that it's a grift? I mean, are people really that stupid to fall for this Cal Art style nonsense? Again? What the fridge am I doing? I make reviews, not rage bait junk.
But seriously though, just like how the style looks great on Pixar films like Elio, Luca, and Turning Red, The Bad Guys did an exceptional job with this look that clearly took inspiration from animes like Lupin the Third. As the design stays simple and be more playful with round shapes to build the characters, most of the energy is put onto their movements and poses, making them extremely dynamic and lively to help sell the comedy and present the personalities in a way that can be either charming or bombastic.
And then we just have to
Tear them apart, limb by limb, until all they can remember is pain.
On top of that, the movie also implemented a filter that sacrifices most of the textures in favor of having the color palette become brighter, which helps to add a bit of that 2D illusion and make this feel more like an anime when the colors are flat, even when the scene calls for lighting. But let's be honest, as I insinuated before, this is not to establish its style. It's great, but it already made that statement with the first movie. What this film is all about is the action that the bad guys get into. And it does not hold back to make this feel like an around 100-minute wild ride. It's not just the designs that are anime-like. When the movie gets into its heist mode and it's time for the characters to set the plan in motion, that's when it pushes the cinematography and the character animation to the limit to get the strongest shots that show their moves and hits. Even the effects play a part to navigate the eyes where the focus should be, all displayed at such a fast pace that plays with the intensity and the engagement to make sure that the audience does not want to miss what will happen next. Even the backgrounds also play a big part in those moments to give the cast the theming of how those scenes will play out. And in the sequel, the film provided a lot of opportunities to get creative with their environment, including the opening scene in Cairo where they stole what became their signature car, at the Luchador tournament, or especially in space during the climax. Without spoiling anything, that ending really felt like a grand finale to all the craziness that the guys had to go through. But to make the action unique to the bad guys, this is where the comedy comes in to also give those moments some charm. Yes, some of the best jokes are visual based, but they also make the action feel big in a ridiculous way. It does not forget that it's also supposed to be funny, so they will make the challenges as over the top as possible for the characters to face. So as they are dodging every cop and every opponent that's in front of them to get out with the loot or just not to get caught, you get an unexpected laugh or a few along with going around this roller coaster in the form of a heist.
So, are we bad again?
We just gotta do this one last job.
If there's one thing here that does promise to deliver what fans are looking forward to, it's the animation. It's not only as enjoyably great as before, but the sequel adds so much more and provide additional materials for the bad guys to get around with more types of fights, escapades, and plenty of opportunities for gags. When these guys go out to be bad, they could show that doing so can also look so good. The characters. It may not have been long since their last big adventure to prove their goodness, but the bad guys are back mostly the same way that they were before. But as much as they could bring out their appeal to win audiences over, there isn't a whole lot that they offer to the movie. Like I said, the heists are the feature's biggest priority, while everything else to craft the soul of the feature is relatively small and not so fresh. Yes, they can be likable the same way that they were before, like the voice acting is still solid where the actors deliver some fun performances, especially Sam Rockwell as Wolf with his cunning charm.
When it came to being bad, we were pretty good. Who am I kidding? We were the best.
And they do play a big role in making the comedy work as it plays a lot with their personalities, but they don't contribute to anything new to the feature or show a meaningful evolution since the predecessor. At best, the characters are useful for their comedic potential and their signature skills during the action, but it doesn't go any further than that.
I'm keeping my eye on you, Doc.
What was that?
I panicked, okay? I'm a panicker.
To get reacquainted with the bad guys, you first have Wolf, who is the most determined to show that they are now good, but has to use his charisma and his pickpocketing skills once again to get out of his sudden operation.
What'd you say?
What did we say? No, is the short answer, but well, you were flattered, but the thing is,
We're good now.
Yeah.
As for his friends, there is Shark, who is the master of disguise that can easily panic, Tarantula, or Webbs, who is the hack expert, and Piranha is the loose cannon who farts whenever he's nervous.
Buddy, I'm sorry. What? No. Help me.
But when it comes to Snake, he changed the most out of everyone. He's no longer the grumpy, self-centered safecracker. He became a lot more of the good vibes guy who's more into having a healthy mind and a healthy body, especially when he's madly in love with his new girlfriend who could be just as nasty as him.
Is she your hostage?
No, she's my girlfriend.
Why is she in his mouth?
But it's not just the main five who have returned. Chief Luggins also came back as the new commissioner, whose trust on the guys gets continuously tested. Marmalade has a little Hannibal Lecter scene by giving out some info from his cell. And of course, Diane's also back. The governor who can even make me say that I'm not a furry. But her role is to be some extra help for the bad guys, whether it be to prove to the city that they're good now or to get them out of some bad situations. There is the threat that her identity as the Crimson Paw could be publicly revealed, but that honestly goes nowhere.
You talked to Marmalade.
Actually, he did most of the talking. I'm more of an action girl.
As for the new baddies entering the picture, there's Pigtail, the muscle of the trio, and also a crime nerd who is a big fan of the bad guys, Doom, Snake's new girlfriend whose deceptiveness, sass, and evil nature only makes her more attractive to him, and Kitty Cat, the new antagonist who is behind the entire heist. I'll give her credit that she does have a threatening presence. Her voice by Danielle Brooks and the way she planned out how to steal the MacGuffinite and use it in space does make her conceptually a solid villain for the picture. Unfortunately, she's nothing more than that. She's just the typical bad girl who only cares about executing her goal.
Maybe you don't keep up with the news, but we're good now.
I'm not exactly asking.
Of course, it's exciting to see these characters back, and they return to show how their skills are the ingredients to pull off some beautiful crimes. However, they don't provide anything more to the sequel, as their roles get sidelined so that the action takes more importance. They're a bit disappointing as characters, since there's nothing new to remember them by, but with the help of the comedy and some solid acting, their roles were just enough to get through their mission. Their second heist might not be as spectacular as some hoped for, but that doesn't mean that the sequel was bad at all. The Bad Guys 2 is a true animated summer blockbuster. It doesn't care about telling a compelling story, share a meaningful message, or give the characters more depth. This is all about going on a wild ride with some anthropomorphic animals with lots of crazy action and funny moments, and in that regard, it does the job very well. Sure, when looking at it as a movie in itself, there are some things that feel weak, like the story is lackluster, and the characters are kind of flat where you may not remember much of what they do outside of the zaniness, but it still knows how to have fun with some fantastic animation, exciting action, solid comedy, and good voice acting. This is not the kind of movie to watch where you want to be immersed in the story. This is all about the thrill of the adventure. Fans of the original will have a blast with it for sure, but I also recommend this for those who want to have a fun movie. If you want something that you can enjoy and don't have to think much while watching it, then The Bad Guys 2 will give you a good time. And if you also had fun with this review, then hit that like button and come subscribe to my channel. You can also join my Patreon to support what I do, and be a part of my crew to experience more animated escapades that are out there. It's never easy for someone like Wolf and his team to show that they're no longer bad. But at least they got the first movie, and now the sequel, to prove that they are capable at being good.
Ooh, she is spicy. I like it. And so me next.